Do you want to master one profound tip in estate planning when it comes to planning for your clients? Care to find out what is the most contentious part of your client's assets when it comes to estate planning? If the answer is yes to the above questions, then this video is for you. In this episode, I'm going to unveil top 3 questioning techniques that you can use when it comes to property distribution. In financial advisory, most of you will be pretty sure of your fact-finding process where you can collate important information from your clients or prospects. One portion, the balance sheet, is where you find out the assets they own or have interest in. Here in Singapore or Asia, one of the very common asset classes is property. So regardless of whether it's joint name or singly owned, clients usually are clueless in terms of leaving behind properties for their heirs. There is this saying I always mention: the more properties you have, the more planning you need to do when it comes to estate planning. Most clients will generally think of just distributing their properties equally to all their beneficiaries, whether it's their children, their siblings, parents, or even friends. Here are 3 critical questions you can use to guide your clients in planning for it to be distributed. Number 1. Do you intend the property to be left as a heirloom or as a roof, i.e. shelter for your beneficiaries? If it's more as a roof, then when do you think the beneficiaries do not need it? Is it when they are 30, 40, or even 50 years old, when they are well able to purchase their own property? So, if it's more of a shelter, make sure you indicate the ending date of this request. One can also utilize the concept of giving a living interest for the beneficiary to live in the property while not being an owner until a certain age. This comes in handy when the youngest child is still young at the time of drafting the will, and it is important to ensure that there is a roof for him or her in the event of an unfortunate event. What if it's for a heirloom? Ask yourself this question: would your beneficiaries appreciate it even as a heirloom? Or would they rather receive cash instead? You know, I once sat down with this client and he brought in his grown-up children into the meeting. So I asked them this question: your dad is leaving behind this property located at, because this prime district, for you. The daughter then told me that she would prefer to just inherit money, cold hard cash, instead of fixed properties. Well, if your client's objective is for rental income, then perhaps you can propose other instruments that can also provide lifetime income for their beneficiaries without the need to manage tenancy agreements and even manage the tenant. Second question to ask: how are your beneficiaries going to dispose of this property? This will set your client thinking further. In the event if the said property is a HDB, and likely the beneficiary cannot inherit it due to another existing holding of a HDB property, then how? Do they sell it when they are all grown-up children? Or sell it when they are married? Or when they reach a certain age? Sell it maybe when 75% or 2/3 of them agree to sell? What if one decides not to sell? What is the remedy? Are there any special clauses to indicate when it comes to such distribution? For example, who will bear the cost of transfer such as stamp duties should the beneficiaries intend to sell amongst themselves? Here is the final question: is it important for you to ensure there is a 0 chance of a dispute amongst the beneficiaries? Then you keep quiet. And in all fact-finding, there are questions that we will need to obtain property information for clients. But you see, these questions are mainly structured in a way that only fulfills the criteria of filling up the balance sheet for the client. They do not factor in the aspect of wealth distribution. So this question allows your client to think deeper and further how their beneficiaries can dispose of the inherited property in due time. So in summary, the 3 questions to ask your clients with regard to their property distributions. Number 1, do you intend for your property to be left as a heirloom or as a shelter, i.e. shelter for your beneficiaries? Number 2, how are your beneficiaries going to dispose of this property? And number 3, is it important for you to ensure there is a 0 chance of a dispute amongst your beneficiaries? Now, if you like this episode, make sure you click subscribe and check out my other videos meant for financial consultants. See you again.